Hey, it's James from Mission, and today we're talking about Expressionator. Expressionator is the world's first fully programmable digital multi-expression controller. It lets you connect your favorite expression pedal or volume pedal to the input, and then 3 separate devices to the output, and use them individually or simultaneously. You can also program each device individually for taper, direction, and span. First we're going to look at how it works, then we're going to connect it up and give it a try. Alright, ready? Let's go. Why do we even need an expressionator in the first place? Couldn't I just take one expression pedal, connect it up to an analog switch of some type, connect that switch up to multiple expression control devices, and then just switch between them? Well, you can, and it will sort of work up to a point, but there's a couple of reasons why it doesn't really do what you think it might, and why it may cause you problems in operation. The first one is an electrical reason. If you think that when I'm connected, say, to device 2 over here, that connects this potentiometer in the expression pedal to that device. These other devices are not connected at all. They're just open circuit. It's the same as just pulling the cable out of those devices. And depending on what these are, they may behave in different ways when that happens. The first one is if these are calibrated, so if it's a digital device and it measures this expression pedal and calibrates according to that, when you disconnect it, it most likely will lose the calibration. So when you reconnect it, when you switch back through this switch, it's going to be out of calibration and you'd have to recalibrate it each time, which is not going to work very well. The second is an operational reason. If you imagine that you're using the expression pedal on device 2 here for controlling volume, for example, and while I'm playing, I'm moving the expression pedal up and down, and maybe I set it to 70% volume, which is where I'm comfortable. And then I want to use this expression pedal to control device 3 over here for my delay repeats, for example. When I hit this switch, this device here that's controlling the volume goes open circuit. There's no longer any expression pedal connected to it. So now it's going to jump to whatever its default settings are because it no longer has that pedal reading associated with it. So it might jump immediately to maximum volume, or it might jump immediately to 0 volume, or it may be something in between depending on what the device is. There's really no way to tell. And obviously for a volume control that's not going to work. It's also going to be a problem potentially for other devices depending on what you're doing here. So what you really want to be able to do is make sure that when you switch this expression pedal away, that the other devices that are not connected maintain some sort of electrical connection so that they see that they're still connected to an expression pedal, and also that they store their position so that if I set this to 70% volume and then I switch away to control one of these other devices, this one stays at 70% volume until I switch the pedal back, and then I can move it up and down and control this device. How do I do that? I do that with Expressionator. Expressionator works by not being a single expression pedal that switch between multiple devices, but in fact being 3 expression pedals internal to Expressionator that are under control of a single external expression pedal. And it works under digital control. So I take the analog input from an external expression pedal, convert it into digital in Expressionator, process it as necessary, and then send that signal out to each of these individual expression pedals that are internal to Expressionator. So what that means is, in this example, to duplicate what we had up here, let's say that channel 1 here is controlling my volume, and I've set my volume to 50% on my expression pedal. Now when I stomp to switch away to control something on channel 2, for example, I'm not switching away this expression pedal from the end device. I'm only switching it away from the input on Expressionator. Expressionator's individual output on channel 1 here is still being controlled by this device because it's 3 independent expression pedals inside the device. So when I switch away and this is controlling channel 2, channel 1 still has its internal expression pedal connected and it's still at 50%. When I switch it back, then it will still be at 50% here, and then I can start moving it again and then adjust it as necessary. That also means I can do some cool things because as I've got 3 independent expression pedals here, I can connect those up together in any type of combination or use them individually. So I could just use my stomp switch so that the expression pedal is controlling 1 or 2 or 3, and I can just stomp between them as necessary. Or I can use the set switches on these channels to chain them together. So for example, I could have 1 and 3 operational at the same time and 2 independent, so that when I move the expression pedal up and down on 1 and 3, it controls those at the same time, and then when I stomp to move to channel 2, it controls that individually. Because it's a digital device, I can also process the expression pedal signal before I send it out through the individual devices and do some interesting things with it. For example, I could make the pedal go in reverse, or I could make the pedal do different wave shapes, so it can do a square wave or a triangle wave. It also lets me readjust the taper on the pedal to compensate. For example, if this is not a true expression pedal and it's a volume pedal, maybe I don't have a true expression pedal, I only have a volume pedal available, and the volume pedal is not a linear taper, I can use Expressionator to adjust that to compensate, so that if these devices are expecting a linear taper and this device is a log taper, Expressionator will modify this before it sends it out so that it's linear. So I can use a volume pedal on the input instead of an expression pedal if I want to. I can also set the span of the expression pedal on an individual channel by channel basis. So let's say, for example, that on my channel 1 here, which is my volume control, I only want to move my volume control between 50% and 100%. Let's say I don't want it to go all the way to 0, because at 50% I'm using it for my rhythm, and then at 100% I'm using it for my lead. However, I still want my expression pedal to control these 2 devices, which may be my delay and reverb, for example. I still want those to go through their full 100% of movement. So I can set the span on this channel so that it only goes from 50% to 100%. And then I can set the span on these 2 so that they still go from 0 to 100%. Then when I switch my expression pedal to channel 1, it's only going to go between half volume and full volume. And then when I switch it to 2 or 3, it's going to go between the maximum and minimum settings for these devices. So that allows me to turn just a basic expression pedal over here that doesn't have any functions such as a span or a maximum and minimum control or a direction reversal switch or a linear taper, any of those things. I can basically completely repurpose this expression pedal so it can turn into any sort of different device on a channel by channel basis in the Expressionator. Connecting up is pretty straightforward, and I'll link another video down below that explains all the different types of expression pedal that are available and how those work. But you can use most of those with Expressionator. If you have a typical TRS linear tip to wiper expression pedal, which most of them are, we just take a TRS cable and we plug it between the expression pedal output and the input on Expressionator. If I have a ring to wiper or polarity reversed expression pedal, then we have a little adapter that you can plug in there, which converts the ring to wiper to tip to wiper. And then if you have a volume pedal here, which is going to have a log taper instead of a linear taper, you can just use a insert cable, which has both the input and the output connected together to a single one. So that's a TRS insert cable, and you can use that on the input here. And then you can set Expressionator so that it compensates for the logarithmic taper of this device. So I can use here a ring to wiper, a tip to wiper expression pedal, or I can use a volume pedal. I need 9-volt DC power in here to power the Expressionator. On the outputs, they're normally TRS, so I have TRS expression outs coming from here. If I have a TS device, like for line 6 for example, which are TS expression devices and not TRS expression devices, they will also have an adapter that's available here, and you can use that on one or any number of channels. So if I had 3 line 6 devices I was controlling, I could use 3 adapters. Or in this case, I just have one, so I can just use one adapter. Essentially, with a combination of the Expressionator and some different adapters and programming in software here, I can use pretty much any combination of input and output device. All right, let's go see how this works in the real world. We'll connect up an Expressionator and we'll try it out. Okay, here's our setup. On the audio path side, I have the guitar going into a Mission VM Pro volume pedal. Then we're going to an Eventide H9 harmonizer, a way huge ring one, and then the output for that is going into the guitar in on a line 6 helix. The output of the line 6 helix is going to a Mission Gemini monitor wedge that we're going to use for the audio monitoring. On the expression side, I have a Mission EP25 Pro Aero expression pedal, and the input from that is going into Expressionator. I have 3 outputs on Expressionator. Output 1 is going to one of the expression inputs on the helix. Output 2 is going to the expression input on the Eventide H9, and output 3 is going to the ring one. Alright, let's give this a try. So I'm going to step the Expressionator through to channel 1, channel A, which is the green light here, and that, if you remember, is controlling the line 6 helix. And I have it set up so that it switches the volume between 50% at heel down and 100% at toe down. See the lights on the Expressionator, the taper position lights light up based on the position of the pedal. Now if I want the expression pedal to control the Eventide H9 instead of the helix, I'm just going to hit the stomp switch, and you see that switches it to channel B, so now that's controlling the H9. So I'll turn on the H9, and I have the expression pedal set up so that it's controlling the wet-dry mix on the H9, and I have a crystals patch on there at the moment, so let's try that. And it becomes wetter as I move it forwards. That's a dry. Now that's okay, but I would actually prefer for the mix to be reversed so that as I push the pedal forwards I get more of the dry mix mixed in. That seems backwards to me. So I can use Expressionator to do that. I'm just going to use the set switch and I'm going to press it until the reverse taper light illuminates, and now this will work in reverse. So now you can see that as I move the pedal backwards and forwards, now my maximum position is in heel down and my minimum position is in toe down. So let's try that. There you go, there's my full wet mix at heel down, and as I move it forward I should get more of the dry mix added. Alright, beautiful, that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, now what I'd like to do is be able to change those, but as I move from the minimum position to the maximum position and I get more of the dry mix, I'd also like to boost the volume just a little bit, and so I can use the helix patch that I have here and the Eventide H9 patch together. So if I just press these two buttons here, now both A and B are activated simultaneously. So now A will move forwards and B will move backwards at the same time. Let's try that. So there's my wet mix at 50% volume. And then as I move the pedal forwards, I should get more of the dry mix and the volume should go up a little bit as well. Alright, awesome. That's exactly what we wanted to do. Okay, now let's imagine that instead of that I want to just control the ringworm. So I'm going to turn these two off, and then I'm going to use the stomp switch just to move over to the ringworm. Let's turn the eventide off for a minute and we'll turn the ringworm on. So now in this position my expression pedal is just controlling the frequency setting on the ringworm. So let's try that. So there's the ringworm on, and then I should get some ring modulation as I move it forward. There we go. Now let's try the reverb and the ring mod at the same time. I can do that too, and just turn these two outside ones on, and now the volume will stay the same, but the reverb and the crystals and the ringworm will work at the same time. So let's turn that on. So there's my wet with my low frequency on the ring modulator, and then we'll move it forward. Alright, you notice there that what happened was the volume went up and the ring modulator changed frequency, and that's because I hit the wrong channel. So it should be those two. There we go, that's better. Now we should have the reverb mix and the ring modulation. There we go, that's better. And then if I want to add the volume control back in there as well, I can do that just by hitting this button here, and now we have all three working. Alright, that was pretty cool. Okay, let's just try a couple of the other tapers just for fun. I'm not really sure what this is going to do. So let's say, for example, let's change my ring modulation taper, which should be forward right now. Let's change that and let's make that do a sawtooth wave. Alright, let's see how that sounds. Turn it on. We'll turn the reverb off for a minute. kind of interesting. Alright, let's turn the reverb on as well. And we'll add that into the mix by turning that on. And now I should be, see, full wet. And we can see as I move forward, the sawtooth wave ramp up, then drop off, and then ramp up again. Alright, that was quite fun. Okay, last one, let's try the volume control. And we'll put the volume control with a square ramp. And then we'll turn them all on simultaneously. Alright, let's see how that sounds. Okay, that one was probably a little silly, but you can see what it is that you can do with Expressionator and how you can set it so that you can just cycle between individual channels just with the stomp box, like that. How you can use multiple channels together, whether you use all three or you use any combination of the three. And then how you can set those between different tapers on a channel by channel basis. And these options are forward taper, reverse taper, which is that one. This is the reverse log. This is if you want to use a volume pedal instead of an expression pedal. An expression pedal has a linear taper, whereas a volume pedal will quite often have a log taper. And so you'll need to compensate for that, which you do here, and then the sawtooth wave and the square wave. Okay, that's about all I had for this demo of Expressionator. Hopefully you could see how you can connect a single expression pedal to multiple devices and then use them either individually or simultaneously with different programmable options. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment space down below, or as always you can email me at james@missionengineering.com. Thanks again. See you next time.